Okay, so today, hold up, let me stop with the lo-fi music. YouTube. So today we are going to be eating again and watching a video. And today we're going to be watching the insanity of salvia. I'm pretty sure that's a drug. And YouTube, don't worry. This is an educational video that we're just about to watch right now. So no strikes, no copyright. It's all right, okay? Hopefully we enjoy the video. Let's dive right in. I'm ready.
That you could take that would make you live an entire lifetime as an inanimate object without even 20 minutes passing by in the real world. Well, guess
Yo, what kind of add-ons are they giving to us, dude? That sounds insane. That is insane.
Guess what? It exists, and it's called salvia. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. My name is Chase. If you clicked on this video, you already know what we're talking about. I don't need to tell you. There's still no sponsor on this video, and there's a pretty high likelihood that this video gets demonetized. So the least you can do is like and comment if you enjoy, and I hope you do enjoy. Let's get into it, and thank you so much for watching. What is salvia, and how does it work? Salvia, or Salvia divinorum, is an extremely powerful hallucinogen, and the way that it affects the brain is very unique. The active compound in salvia is salvinorin A. Unlike other more typical psychedelics which bind to a whole lot of receptors in the brain, salvia really only binds to one. This is why the effects of salvia are so unique. It works in a completely different way than other psychedelics. There are three different subcategories of hallucinogens. There are psychedelics, dissociatives, and deliriants. Salvia is most commonly thrown into the dissociative category because of the extreme detachment from reality, but depending on where you look and who you ask, it's also sometimes labeled as an atypical psychedelic.
Should I try this on next stream? I'm joking. Just to be frank, I'm joking. But should I?
Regardless of which category you want to put it under, the effects that it produces are one of a kind. The trip reports at the end are of course going to be some really bad trips, but not every salvia trip is like that. Many people report having very eye-opening and...
Yo, chat, give me a second. All right. Let's lock back in.
and positive experiences with this stuff. In no way am I advocating for it or saying that you should try it, but I also don't want to unfairly demonize it. How was salvia used historically? Salvia divinorum is native to the Sierra Mazateca region in southern Mexico. It's named after the Mazatec people who are native to the area. The region is mountainous and forested, making it incredibly remote. Because of how remote the region is, salvia remained unknown to the rest of the world for centuries, only known and being used by the Mazatecs. The Mazatecs viewed salvia as a divine herb that could bring one into contact with the spirits.
Dog, so they were just tripping balls. Is that what you're telling me? These guys were just living lavish. Not even lavish. They're living high. High as a kite.
They would use salvia to treat a variety of illnesses and ailments, even something as minor as a headache. Because of their belief in the medicinal benefits and the knowledge that they can gain from the spirit realm, salvia is an incredibly important part to their culture. Often it is taken during healing ceremonies held by the Mazatec shaman at night. It's very important for them to hold these ceremonies in a place that is quiet and dark because the effects of salvia are extremely subtle. So in order to receive the guidance that you're looking for during the experience, it's important to pay attention. Now, if you don't know much about salvia, but you've heard some of the trip reports posted online, me calling it subtle probably seems ridiculous. But the way the Mazatecs consume salvia is completely different from how it is used recreationally today. They ingested salvia in a process known as quitting, where you pick some of the fresh leaves off the plant, roll them up, put them in your cheek, and chew them. If you don't know how it's most commonly consumed today, we'll get to that very soon, but quitting gives a much slower onset and much milder effects. Salvia divinorum wasn't officially documented until 1939 by an American anthropologist named Jean Bissett Johnson. He observed the Mazatec shamans using salvia.
What a name. John Bissett Johnson. I just wanted to add that.
In their healing ceremonies and took note of its extremely unique effects. And it wasn't until nearly 50 years later in 1982 when salvinorin A was officially identified, the main psychoactive compound in salvia. In the 2000s and 2010s, salvia finally began getting more widespread attention throughout the US and the rest of the world. It being a legal hallucinogen made a lot of people curious to try it. Powerful salvia extracts began popping up in corner stores and smoke shops throughout the United States.
Wait, is this legal today? I'm guessing not because of how he's explaining it, but that's insane. It was legal. I mean, so was Coke at some point. It was in Coca-Cola.
And viral videos from the earlier days of YouTube like,
where the fuck did he get that cat from? Am I on it right now?
Driving on salvia and gardening on salvia by internet comment etiquette gave salvia even more attention. Salvia remained legal because it worked completely differently from other known hallucinogens like LSD. It also had no potential for addiction and very low potential for abuse, so it seemed like the government didn't really care too much. That was until 2010, when Miley Cyrus took a fat rip of that stuff and it went viral. And while salvia is still federally legal, a lot of states cracked down on it soon after pretty heavily. Today, salvia is completely illegal in over half of the country, with 29 states banning it completely. Now, is Miley Cyrus
I think I need to move west.
legal in over half of the country, with 29 states banning it completely. Now, is Miley Cyrus really the only reason that salvia started getting banned? No. But I do think that if it wasn't for that video, it would have remained legal or decriminalized in more places, at least in the United States. Like I mentioned, salvia extracts became very popular around this time, and they started popping up in gas stations and corner stores all throughout the country. The extracts are made of dried leaf designed to be inhaled, and they are extremely potent, with many of them ranging from 60 to 100 times strength. You're supposed to use these extracts very sparingly, only using a few leaves at a time. But because nobody ever wants to do research before they do something, people tend to just pack a bowl and light it up. And shockingly, they tend to have bad experiences. If you've ever used ZA or hit the cart, think about your first couple of experiences. They probably weren't that enjoyable. The first time I ever hit a cart, it was not a fun experience. I was extremely paranoid and anxious, my heart was pounding out of my chest, I was sweating. Now imagine.
It was not like that for me. I'm gonna be honest here. I was having, I wouldn't say it wasn't not enjoyable, but it was, I would say it's not like how it is now, most definitely. But not that it wasn't enjoyable.
During your first ZA experience, you emptied the entire...
No, if I did this on my first time, maybe I'll be fucking paranoid. Because what the hell is he holding?
gram cart by yourself as fast as you could, just chiefing on it. That's basically the equivalent of what people tend to do with salvia extracts. It's really no surprise why there are so many horror stories about this stuff. One of the most infamous examples of a salvia experience gone horribly wrong comes from Reddit. Around 3 years ago, a user made a post on r/salvia titled "My Salvia Experience Gone Wrong." They included pictures of the salvia extract they used, a 5th-story window busted through, the landing spot, and various injuries. In the
My
comments, the
God.
user elaborates, writing, I had been eager to do psychedelics for a couple of weeks after a recent mushroom experience I had been the best trip of my life. I had heard about salvia and it being legal and decided it was the easiest thing to get. I purchased the strongest salvia I could find in my city and smoked about half a bowl of 100x. My friend tells me that I was making noises of pure fear and that I kept getting up and he kept redirecting me to the bed to lay down. He says when he was reading, I sprinted for the apartment door and dodged past him, saying I needed to get outside, and I pressed the elevator button. Apparently the elevator was too slow, and I looked around and sprinted at the window and cannonballed through it, popping the frame out of the wall, landing on my feet. My friend said he heard the thud when I hit
YouTube, Twitch. He's okay. He's survived this, okay? Nothing went
the
wrong.
ground. My friend sprinted down the
Well,
stairs,
something
calling
went wrong, but
paramedics
he's okay.
on the way down, and as I was on the ground and I asked if I should
React
try to
to
get up,
this.
and the small
Is that a good
crowd
link?
that gathered all told me no. I was able to tell the paramedic what I had.
Let's see. I don't know. I feel like this is like 101.
Simple, Sean.
Yeah, I shouldn't be doing this, but... Yo, dog, what am I looking at? Is this you? Are you Simple Sean? This doesn't look... This is you? Alright, bro. We're gonna watch this guy's
I'm really
TikTok.
sorry. I don't want you. This relationship is over.
Please don't break up with me. There's so many simple ways to solve this solution.
Sorry, Sean. Goodbye. It's over.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's restart that from the beginning. I'm sorry. I didn't have it up.
I'm really sorry. I don't want you.
L streamer.
This relationship is
L streamer on my
over.
part.
Please don't break up with me. There's so many simple ways to solve this solution.
Sorry, Sean. Goodbye. It's over.
What is going on right now?
You look a bit upset, you know. What's good?
Nah, don't do that to Sean.
I
Don't
got you
give him
something for you,
drugs.
Yes, please.
Don't give
Like
him
that,
drugs.
That's a simple way.
No!
Well, pass me that thing. Second.
Drugs are bad, Sean. Don't do it, Sean.
That was really red.
From a war or something. Fuck, brother, you mad?
You know, this is people of Salvia. Yeah, this relates to what we were just watching, honestly. I'm not gonna lie.
What is this? What is this subtitle? W subtitles, bro.
You can tell what he's got, bro.
Sean versus
I
Deathwickle.
simple came back from the dead.
That'd be a good fight, to be fair.
Bruv, you're making it too bait, you know. Man have to done you in.
First experience off
What's up, class?
all
Hey,
off
I'm
of.
Sean. I made this comedy skit to show you all to stay away from drugs.
Go on, Sean.
Oh, I see. You made the original video. This is someone reacting to the video. Good looks, man. Good looks. This relates though. This is literally what just happened. This is what happened to the guy that was on Salvia. Thanks for the video, man. Thanks for the video.
Smoked. As far as for what I remember feeling weird and wavy and laying down. The only things I remember from that point on are a feeling of panic and seeing my friend's face appear to look like melting tar. My vision was black, and after the fall, I had an experience seeing two of my dead cousins sitting on chairs in the middle of a clearing in the forest with a chair next to them. When I asked them who it was for, they simply told me that it wasn't for me. I have gone through over 11 surgeries since then and can no longer feel or move my feet. I cannot currently walk, but am in physical therapy to try to regain the skill. I am in constant aching pain. Unfortunately, the user would never regain their ability to walk, and it really just goes to show that making one dumb mistake can permanently alter the course of your life. Trip reports. I watched myself grow into a tree for 20 years. So, my friend and I decided to give Salvia a try. During my trip, I clearly remember a sudden change in my friend's room. In the blink of an eye, it transformed into a calm, nature-filled scene. It was incredibly peaceful. That's when I realized that I wasn't myself anymore. I had turned into a young tree, and I have to admit, I looked pretty cute as a sapling. But the idea that I was stuck as a sapling forever hit me hard. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. I could only watch myself as a sapling. Right then and there, I found myself compelled to observe my own growth into an adult tree. It felt like an incredibly long time. No, it was a long time. It seemed like 20 years. I was powerless, unable to communicate or take any action. All I could do was look around at the ever-changing colors of the trees nearby. After 2 decades, I slowly started to hear a familiar voice. I shouted, and my friend told me to shut the fuck up, although I couldn't see him. He eventually tapped me, and in an instant, my whole world snapped back into place. My friend was there, engrossed in watching Markiplier, which was the voice I was also hearing. I asked him what happened, and he casually said that I had been lying on his bed for about 5 minutes making moaning noises. I thought he was joking, but he swore it was true. I recounted my surreal experience to him, but he just laughed, apparently not quite buying my story. I don't care if nobody believes me, but bet your ass I'm not trying that shit again. I feel so sorry for trees now. Has anyone else had this happen to them, where time seems so much slower?
That's insane.
Salvia trip report. Lived 15 years as a ceiling fan. First and only trip.
I'm sorry to laugh, but as a ceiling fan, oh my gosh, bro. Yo, you could have picked anything else. I don't think you really had an option, but a ceiling fan is kind of funny.
I'll ever have. I took a hit of salvia laying alone in my bed. The trip lasted for 27 minutes, but felt like 15 actual years. I experienced every second of every minute of every hour, of every day, of every month, of every year without a pause. Every night, I couldn't sleep because I was an object, so I would just wait at night for them to awaken. I still remember this trip like it was yesterday, every single part of it. The first year, there was a semi-fat man who was bald on top and had gray hair around the side of his head like a horseshoe. He had a wife with blonde hair who was pregnant and would routinely walk around the house naked. They would watch TV together every night and often get intimate on the couch during their show. The first 3 years of the new year, they are gone because the woman is in the hospital giving birth. Mind you, I was left here alone for 3 days waiting for them to come back. This wouldn't happen often though, since throughout my lifetime, they never went on vacation because they didn't have much money to spend, and they always complained about bills and money as well. They came back with a baby boy. The entire lifetime, I couldn't register what any of their names were, but I often heard most of their conversations. It was just hard for me to register because I was a ceiling fan. One day, he got changed directly underneath me on the couch, and when I looked down, it was just blank because I had no idea what it would be like to change a baby. Throughout the years, I watched the son grow up. I realized he was autistic and had a speech impediment, often mouthing sentences and only saying the last word verbally. However, he did become quite handsome with blonde curly hair. I watched the dad, now completely bald, get fatter and fatter. I watched the mom let herself go. I observed countless nights of them inviting their church friends over and talking about pointless subjects while drinking wine. Mostly, I couldn't even understand. The last year, things started acting out of normal and it was terrifying. The boy's grandma, woman's mom, died. And even though she never visited and was never even spoken about, the mom sat the autistic son down to explain to him how death works and why they won't see grandma again. As she was explaining, her voice echoed through the room and her words turned demonic, and repeatedly kept saying stuff like, "Grandma's never coming back. You will never see grandma again." she's gone. And then quickly everything changed back to normal and she walked down the hallway like nothing happened. Also, I never knew what was down that hallway because I was perpetually stuck in that living room. Final weird event happened before my lifetime ended when the mom put 3 oranges on the ground then walked away. Then when she completely left, the oranges began spinning around in a circle. Then when she would come back, the oranges would suddenly stop spinning and she would put them back in the kitchen. Then finally, the dad went to go turn me on for the first time in my life and I started spinning slowly. After the 5th rotation, I started going into 3rd person out of the house in a bird's eye view. A second later, in a sudden flash, I was laying back down on my bed. It took a solid 5 minutes to realize where I was and who I was. If I told you guys everything that happened in this trip, it would be much longer than the dictionary. Please ask questions or remember everything. I was just trying to say the important stuff without making it too confusing. Moral of the story, don't do salvia.
That is crazy. Bro went through a whole lifetime, watched a whole family's life for 15 years. Yo, you know that joke that I was saying, I want to try this? That's a joke. I never want to do this. I recommend you guys never want to do this. These are actual horror stories. Like, this does not sound fun at all.
Pure, desolate terror. Firstly, I should say that I'm not new to drugs, though I'm hardly a veteran either. I acquired a 10-gram bag of ordinary leaf through the internet. A friend who studies various forms of shamanism had talked about it. I have been meditating deeply recently and have felt all of my previous trips to be spiritual experiences rather than just for fun. I'm also a fairly cautious and responsible, or so I thought, adult. In other words, I thought I could handle it. I was wrong. My first few experiences were very mild. I experienced a tugging sensation down and leftwards. The 3rd time, I had a vague sensation of being at the bottom of a flight of stairs, encouraging someone at the top to join me. The person at the top of the stairs turned out to also be me. All of these attempts required a great deal of smoking, enough to make me choke. It should be noted that I am not a smoker. I gave up for a week or 2 before borrowing a bong from my friend. Once I had this, I removed all obstacles in my room, meditated to focus my thoughts, and packed a large bowl. I took 1 lungful with the lighter held over the bowl the entire time. I held it in and barely managed to drop the lighter before all hell broke loose. I was aware of falling in through my own mouth and down a tunnel fast. I was aware that the tunnel was bottomless. Looking up, the walls of the tunnel were made up of my own face, repeated infinite times, each contained within the other, kind of like when you have 2 mirrors facing each other. Suddenly, I became aware of the rest of the room as well. It was almost dark. The room was above the tunnel. The room was an isolated box. Outside the box, there was nothing. Nothing at all. I was struck by the most visceral panic I have ever experienced. It was even worse, and I'm really ashamed of this, than when I was fighting and failing to save my late wife's life after a fatal accident several years ago. The sheer desolation was crushing, paralyzing. I'm afraid I just can't express it properly in words. My room was a box that contained all that was left of the universe, and I was rapidly falling away from it. Worse, by now something was sucking me away from it. Worse still, the lip of the tunnel, the uppermost of my faces, was collapsing, sucking my room, which was the universe, in behind me. I was aware that if I allowed this to happen, I would be responsible for the end of everything, all because I thought I was some sort of fucking spiritual voyager. I really can't express how terrifying this felt. I finally found the strength to fight against it. At first, I merely struggled helplessly, but I soon realized the only escape was back up through the tunnel. I climbed up and up. I could feel my poor grip against the walls of my throat as I climbed. Finally, I fought my way to my mouth. I should mention that my conscious body was the same size as the one I was climbing out of. I forced my hands through, pried the jaws open, and squeezed out. During this, the feel of my teeth and my breaking face were very real against my hands and body. This was only the first of literally thousands. On each exit, I was wheeled around to the left. On each exit, I grew more tired and more desperate. I felt I was losing the battle and the universe would be swallowed up by the imploding tunnel. I realized I wasn't quite climbing in the right way. I made one last, desperate effort. This time, my real body, outside of the trip, jumped off the bed and headed for the ceiling via some shelves. Now I was aware of the real world in the peripheral vision of my trip. I struggled out of my own mouth for the final time, but this time I ended up in an entirely different tube. I struggled through this tube, plunged into freezing cold water, and climbed into another tube. This tube led to the final exit. Again, one which I could vividly feel with my hands, and which I now know was the bowl of salvia. Suddenly, I was back in my real, singular body and aware. I ran and switched on the light. I took the tube of the bong out of my mouth and put it down in the farthest corner of the room. I went and sat on my bed, but still didn't feel free of it yet. I realized I was still holding my breath. It took a huge physical effort to exhale, and then all of my concentration to keep breathing. My body was convulsing and trying to tell me I was spinning around to the left. Gradually, I became present enough to look at the clock. I'd been gone for barely 2 minutes. The feeling of desolation didn't dissipate for another hour. I wanted to phone my girlfriend and have her come around, but at the same time I realized I was safe now and it wasn't fair to scare her with this. Not ever. Oddly enough, several hours later, I was sound asleep and awoke the next day feeling fine. This is the polar opposite to any other substance I've tried. Everything else gave me a sense of connection with my surroundings. This sent me inwards. Everything else made me more positive about the universe. This made me question its very existence. I know this stuff sounds like a high school kid's horror essay, but that's what I experienced. The really odd things are these. My experience lasted for several hours, and yet in the real world, it only lasted for 2 minutes. It all felt 100% real. No trippy tracers, no blurriness, real as day. I'm sorry I can't write well enough to give a better sense of how terrifying this was. I won't be taking salvia again. Mostly, I think I'll stick to meditation, cups of tea, and a quiet life. If I've taken one positive thing from salvia, it's this. My life with my future wife, the family we want to start, all my beautiful friends, and the cool stuff I've yet to do, all of this is more important to me than catching a brief glimpse of nirvana through the use of mind-bending substances. If salvia gave a longer trip, I wouldn't have gotten out. Accidental salvia and water.
Yo, at least that one had a positive ending to it. But that is insane. What throws me off the most is that these these whole sequences are only lasting not even more than 5 minutes, which is crazy. It's mind-boggling. These people are going through sequences that they feel like are 15 hours to 15 years, 20 years, and it's just 2 minutes or 5 minutes. That is so weird.
Walking the plank. This happened in summer of 2018. Decided to trip one night, dropped 2 tabs, had a pretty standard trip. Played Fortnite for the first time ever with my brother's friend on voice chat, pretty hilarious. Had some visions of Hindu gods and goddesses while laying in the dark. Normal trip stuff, had a great time. Towards the end of the peak, I started to feel kind of nauseous, so I decided to hit the za. I know it's usually not the greatest idea on psychs, and I don't recommend it if you're not a fairly experienced tripper, but I'd done it before and it's always helped my nausea, so I load the bowl up and get to it. Immediately, I get this rush of anxiety that seems to have no reason behind it. I figure that it's just typical paranoia, so I keep on going. Towards the end of the bowl, I start to feel weird. Something's not right. I'm listening to Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, and the song currently playing, Brain Damage, starts to feel absolutely fucking sinister. I feel like it's directed towards me. Some of the lyrics, if you don't know the song, are, "The lunatic is in the hall, the lunatic is in my head. You lock the door and throw away the key. There's someone in my head, but it's not me."
Low-key, this
Keep
is on
those
him,
lyrics
bro.
in mind and imagine that.
That's low-key at him. Why are we playing a song while you're tripping right now that has lyrics like that?
In the background of everything that follows. So I'm pretty freaked out, and I stupidly decide to finish the bowl, put everything away, and try to ride it out. I finally cash it, but then I start feeling the slightest twinges of that salvia book feeling. You probably know what I mean if you've ever done it. It's like your body is a book and someone is ruffling the pages down it eternally. Super weird and uncomfortable. The second I feel it, my mind flashes back and I realize my mistake. 2 or 3 days before, I had used some 200x salvia out of that same piece, and I guessed that I just didn't finish the whole bowl. The second I realized this, absolute panic sets in. I did not want to trip on salvia anytime soon, and I definitely didn't want to do it on 2 fucking tabs. But I somehow managed to rein myself in a bit, and I just start laying down. I look at my feet, and they're, how do I describe this? They're liquefying and floating upwards towards my ceiling. Time has slowed down immensely, and I can feel my memories and cognition slipping away as always happens on salvia. I look at my ceiling, and the geometry is just insane. Everything on my blank white ceiling is crystallized, complex, and I know it wants to hurt me. And then, like a train entering a tunnel, the salvia fully hits. I don't entirely know how to describe what happened. I didn't fully break through and lose all contact with reality. I had some small concept of where I was and that I should stay there, but that was about it. What I saw around me became nothing more than colors, shapes, and objects, with no reference. Mentally, and this is all especially metaphor, my consciousness became a blank time. My understanding of quantum mechanics is spotty, but the definition of a Planck time is the smallest unit of time possible with our current understanding of physics. For reference, that's 5.39 x 10 minus 44 seconds. I became a personified version of that. It felt like I was a grain of sand on the crest of a wave that was hitting a shore. Every time the wave hit the shore, it created the universe at that particular moment. Then it repeated the cycle over and over again. I became one of these grains, and it was horrifying. It was hell, hitting the shore over and over and over again, begging to be freed. I could tell that there were other things like me around me, but I couldn't perceive anything about them besides that they were trapped eternally the same way I was. Eventually, bits and pieces started returning. The place I'm in, it is called the bedroom. I am a human and live on Earth. Each piece that returned was joyous to me. I had gone through literal hell and come out on the other side clean. I wish, partially, that it hadn't happened, since it was so utterly horrifying, but at the same time, I'm glad I had this experience. It changed the way I looked at the world and how I looked at time. Hopefully you're doing well, my fellow Planck units. The rest of the trip wasn't the best. I was just trying to figure out what the hell my consciousness had been through until I fell asleep. As far as after effects, I was a bit out of it for maybe 2 days after this happened, though it didn't interfere with any of my daily activities. Just made me feel a bit less social than usual. I had another trip a few weeks later on one tab, and it was good. At one point, I saw some geometry on my backpack and had a bit of a disgusted feeling because it somehow reminded me of the salvia experience, but besides that, it was alright. I was lucky that I didn't freak out. If you smoke salvia, clean out your pipe after you're done so you don't accidentally blast off like I did. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this stuff as interesting as I do and that you enjoyed the video.
I found it so interesting. So that last guy was the only guy that didn't have the time thing. What kind of? That was so interesting. I'm not gonna even lie. I'm glad I'm hoping you guys like that. Whoever watched that on YouTube, and stream. That was a lot of fun to watch. That was very interesting. Make sure to go follow Chase, spelled like that. I'm gonna put his links down below as well. But W video. Thank you YouTube for watching as well. See you guys later.